Super BS.
Well, it's me, Branky D, back on the ones and the twos, giving you all the up-to-news gaming. You always join us here at Super BS, a podcast about video games to get the news very, very, very late. It is I, Superboy Brank, your lovable baby boy, who's going to come and give you all the news, and I'm joined by the villainous, horrifying...
I'm Dread Durst.
You gotta get those dreadlocks, bro.
Yeah. No, Dread Durst, lead singer of the popular band Biscuits. And Limp Biscuits.
No, they're not actually
Limp
Biscuits
this
time. They're just regular biscuits.
Stale biscuits. And not as evil as Brank might say. He's just jealous of my sick new metal prowess.
Dude, hell yeah. Anyways, we got a ton to talk about, and sadly, like always, we're going to be really behind on a lot of things, because by the time you're listening to this, Gamescom opening night live will have happened, and the Xbox and Bethesda showcase will have gone through.
Oh, that's right. That happens tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow when we're recording, so before this goes up, it will all have already taken place. But that being said, there are games. We are finally at that point. We're not even going to mess around with movies this time, even though there are movies coming out, because there are so many games coming out. Psychonauts 2 is going to drop this week. 12 Minutes launched last week. The Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut launched last week. There are games, and more games.
How many games?
Probably one game, actually, total.
All
no
right,
more coming out this year.
As long as we're on the same page.
Before we get to some big bummer news in the news, which we actually have a lot of news to talk about for the first time in a while. I'm not as much as we will next week, but a decent amount. What have you been playing, my boy?
So I burnt out on Forza. I played through all the festival circuits. The credits rolled, and I was like, I think I'm good on this. So turned it off, went to jump back. You and our friend Dr. Donna have been talking about Assassin's Creed a lot. So I'm like, I already spent half my life playing Valhalla, so I might as well go back and finish it. And
till you die.
Boom. Yep. Right off the bat, as soon as I throw the disc in, it's got a 52 gigabyte update. And my internet's kind of slow out here in God's country, so I had to wait for that to go. So while I was waiting for it to install, I jumped into two different games. The first one I did was I played Psychonauts 1.
Okay, cool. What do you think of it?
It's terrifying. I mean, it's fun, but it's terrifying. Like, it's a product of those early 2000 games that are just like scary. Like just the way that the animation makes it even adds more to it. It's got like a Tim Burton-esque feel to it.
Yeah, the original Xbox, PlayStation 2, and GameCube, just a lot of those games are just hideous nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean, they hold up maybe a little bit better than PS1 era in 64, but those games have like a heart and soul that some of those original Xbox, PS2, and GameCube games just don't really have. I do like Psychonauts a lot. I played probably about 2 or 3 hours just recently of the first game, but it is something where I'm very excited for the second one because it is so hard to go back to those extremely old non-RPGs.
Right, and it wasn't so much the graphics that bothered me. It was just actually it was kind of the graphics, but the gameplay was fine. Like I was totally down with that. I enjoyed my time with it, but there's just like elements of it, like it felt like a 2000, an original Xbox game, and I don't know. It's like going back to VHS after watching Blu-ray for all these years.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good way of saying it. It is a very old version of something that just doesn't hold up. And, I can't say it doesn't hold up. The game is great. Like, if they remade it with, like, better graphics and slightly better controls, I think it would be cool. But there are parts to it where it's like the systems of like, hey, you're traversing through these people's minds. Those levels sometimes feel like they go on far too long. Like, especially the tutorial level. I don't know if you finished
when you're going through the general's mind. Yeah, that was one. I think I shut it off after that. But yeah,
Yeah, it felt like it was 20 minutes too long. Like, I want to say it's probably a 45, 50-minute section of the game, and it just, I kept thinking I was going to be at the end, and it kept going. And it's fun. The first two, like, I think it's like 4 or 5 segments. The first 2 were pretty enjoyable, but it's really once I got to, like, the 4th one where I was like, when's this going to end? Because I just want to explore the camp more. And you have to do, it's a fairly linear game with some slightly open area design. So you can, like, collect things in different places. But
yeah, and I think one thing that did kind of speak to me in its favor was the fact that it felt like a Saturday morning cartoon.
Oh, yeah. It is really well made. The voice acting for the time is almost incredible. Like, it's pretty great voice acting, pretty fun, fairly funny. I mean, I'm just so excited. I mean, when you're listening to this, you can play Psychonauts 2 on Games Pass or on PS5 or wherever you want. But I'm really excited to play Psychonauts 2 because I did enjoy the first one. There are parts of it that are, I mean, it's just antiquated. These old games, it's really hard. I have a hard time going back to Final Fantasy X, and I really enjoyed that game. So,
really? I mean, I guess I kind of feel the same. It's the dialogue, reading all the dialogue gets me for that one.
For me, it's just the slower pace. Most games have changed their systems. They've updated stuff. If they have turn-based systems, they're really fast. Like, there's just something about, like, random battles. I don't want to get onto a thing, but, like, those games of that era, they required more time. That's just it. They're normally shorter games. Like, there's less actual content, but everything was so much more like, oh, you're going to run from here to there. That's going to take 45 minutes. It's not going to be like any quick thing at all. They want you to experience what they want you to experience. You can't bypass it.
Well, I mean, that's almost kind of a good thing, though. It seems like every game is in such a hurry these days to make you do this, or this, and you don't like in those. What was nice about those old Final Fantasy games was that, like, you got to enjoy the scenery a little bit. Even in, like, Mass Effect, you could go through some of these levels and just, like, go off the beaten path and kind of, like, explore a little bit. But
yeah, I will say that just like those are cool, but for a similar reason, I didn't finish Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Like, I played it for a little bit and shut it off.
And you loved it.
I loved it.
You shut it off because it was just so good.
I like how you're defending it, but you also only got a little further than I did. Like, you gave up on it.
This isn't about me. This is
totally about you and me and most people. Most people don't want to be forced to sit around and chew up the scenery because we don't have as much time as we used to, and there's more stuff coming out than ever. Yes, if you're a person who buys a game, you could buy Assassin's Creed Valhalla and the DLC and play that till the day you die. And that's what they want you to do.
Right. Never buy another game again.
I mean, that's what Ubisoft wants you to do.
Right. And it's literally the longest game I've ever played in my life.
Yeah, it's insane. That's why I haven't, like, gone back. I did turn on, I'll talk about this right now. I turned on the new DLC, just like I kind of dipped my toes into the Wrath of the Druids. I turned on the Siege of Paris. I found out I was 100 power levels too low. Fought one battle and realized, like, I can't play it right now. I'm not even the right level.
Because you were overpowered, right?
I was overpowered. I was 100 levels too low, so I was overpowered.
Yeah.
It was a cool thing to see, but it's like, I also know, like, I guess they introduced one new thing, like assassinations, I guess, are back, because the Assassin's Creed is, especially Valhalla, is not really an assassination game anymore. It is a very much blunt, like, fight game, which is fine. I'm okay with that. Just weird to call it Assassin's Creed and not really do the stealth anymore. But yeah, so they brought that back, I guess, and I really didn't get to experience much. I got to Paris, did the first quest part, and I couldn't even do the second one because I'm like, I will die if I fight another battle. I had to let the people who are around me fight. But to something I've played, because this is new and this is important, 12 minutes. Did you get turn that on?
Oh, no, I didn't. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Tell me about 12 minutes.
It is really neat. It is not my style of game. It is a traditional adventure game. You do not actually move the character at all. You move a point and click like a magnifying glass where you're going to go from location to location. And if you click on a knife, your character will pick it up and put it in their pockets. In the pocket, you can try to combine items or do things. So I played through probably 45 minutes of it, or maybe not even that long, maybe 30, 45 minutes.
It is longer than 12 minutes.
It is. You have to finish it. It is a time loop game, so you have 12 minutes to finish it. And then you keep redoing it. I'm kind of stuck, and I don't want to look up a guide how to do it, but you're supposed to convince your wife that you're in a time loop. And I did what I thought was the convincing part, and that didn't work. I did play out all 12, or I played out the minutes like you're supposed to, which is, I think, at the beginning of the game, only 7 minutes they give you before the loop begins.
How did you convince your wife that you were in a time loop?
I was unable to. I don't know what they want. But yeah, so I thought I knew how to do it, and I did the thing I thought, which I don't want to spoil because it might be connected to something, but it did nothing. And then I waited through like I said, at the beginning, you have something that happens in 5 minutes in that kind of ends the loop. So you have about maybe 6 or 7 minutes, total with a cutscene. And I thought that would help me explain to my wife because they reveal a lot of dialogue there. At that moment, it didn't. I put my wife to sleep using some medicine. I thought that would help.
You drugged your wife?
Yes, I thought that would help.
Wow.
It did not. We are about to have some very loud stuff on my end. I'm not sure.
They caught you. They found out that you drugged your wife. They're coming for you.
Yeah, no, it's the ambulance was just driving down the middle of an empty road, constantly doing like as a joke, maybe like a but they kept shutting off the drive. Anyways, 12 minutes, I found the cell phone and you can call and try to get the cops to come in, but they come in 15 minutes. So obviously that doesn't work. Willem Dafoe plays the bad guy. James McAvoy's the husband, your character, and Daisy Ridley's the wife. So the voice cast is really, stellar talent. I think it is a really cool experience, but just like Monkey Island back in the day, a game that I played probably 10 or 15 times for the first 20 to 30 minutes. I just don't like the adventure game format. I don't know if you feel the same way. I don't know what you think about it. Have you played any of those point-and-click adventure games?
Yeah, I've tried playing some on the Switch. My brother's Rabbit or something like that. I tried that one. I don't really have the patience for it.
Yeah.
Though I suppose that, like, in a way, A Night in the Woods is kind of a point-and-click type game, but
yes.
That one actually had a good story to it that I felt like I could resonate with, but outside that one, I haven't really found anything that I've stuck with for longer than, a few minutes.
That also had like mini games and a bunch of other things that you could do in Night in the Woods, where you play like guitar. There's a lot more to that, and you are moving the character, which I can't state enough. It's a very bizarre thing where you have to click on the floor somewhere to move the character to. But yeah, I think for the people who like those story-driven games, it sounds like it's a pretty fun 4 hours. I don't know. I might try it again in the future, but it was so obtuse, which most adventure games are, because they don't want to make it like, I'll give you an example. There's something really early on where your wife gets shocked. She touches the light switch and I'm going to get shocked.
This poor wife, man, drugged, shocked.
Yeah, it does. Smothered. There was a lot of, a lot of other people have probably mentioned this on their podcast. There is supposedly a lot of violence towards women. So if that makes you really uncomfortable, you're going to hate this game because a lot of it happens to your wife. But yeah, so she gets shocked. And she's like, hey, you need to fix this light switch. It's going to kill someone or hurt someone, right? And so I tried using that as like, hey, if you go in there, you're going to get shocked. This is how I know we're in a time loop. That didn't work. I even got it to when you drug your wife, you can hide and the police officer will break down the door and he goes in there and he gets shocked. I'm like, oh man, I'm on the right path. I'm going to find something new out. And it's knocked out. And I go in there, I take all of his stuff off of him. And then he wakes up and kills me and resets the time loop. So I still don't know what it is. The fact that you have to keep replaying the beginning over and over and over again, there's no way to skip it, does make it get more and more grating. So like I want to get back to that moment, but I don't want to play 5 or 6 minutes and set up everything perfectly and do exactly this thing and then, not know what I'm doing, and then do that same 6 minutes. That's what the game wants from you.
It sounds like this is one of those games that like you could play it a million different ways.
I don't think there's that many options, but yeah, it is a game where the developer went on kind of funny. I listened to his interview, and he was talking about it's like a 6 to 8 hour game. So there are a lot of variations. I guess there's even several endings. From what it sounds like for the people who beat it, nobody's even sure if they got the actual ending or the right ending, which makes me even wonder, like, do I want to spend the time to play this when nobody even knows if they beat the game properly? They got credits.
It's like a choose your own adventure type thing.
Yeah, but anyways, I mean, it's on Game Pass. It's again another thing where I'm like, thank the Lord I tried this out. I did not have to pay. I assume it's $20, probably $30 though, to play a game that I'm gonna pick up and really not get a whole lot out of.
Yeah. Wait, so let me get this straight.
$25.
You took a walk on the wild side. You drugged your wife. You stole from a police officer.
Yes.
And now you regret spending time doing that stuff?
I know. That's so weird.
He's reformed.
That's like,
ladies and gentlemen, he's reformed.
This is what you got to give to prisoners, 12 minutes.
The system works.
What else have you been playing? Because I know you've been playing some stuff, and I've actually been playing quite a bit of stuff as well. What have you been playing, my man?
I played a little bit more of Power Rangers Battle for the Grid. And
a fighting game, right?
It's a fighting game that takes place in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers universe. And I guess the story is like there's a rogue version of Tommy, the White Ranger, who instead of working for Rita Repulsa, he kills her, and then he tries to like break into other universes. Anyways, you can check it out. It's in the comic books too, but it's a fun game. You can their specials are you're able to like summon your Megazord's power and stuff like that. It doesn't have a lot of like a good combo system, so it's hard to like it's hard to figure out, and like once you get it, it's fun, but it's not like something you can pick up like Mortal Kombat and just like press buttons and figure it out. Like it's a game you have to stick with for a little bit before you're able to really like adapt to what the controls are and what the buttons do.
One thing I have to ask, did you get a chance to play Mortal Kombat 11? It came out, I want to say 2019.
No, I was bummed. I was going to buy it this past week because it was $10, and it was all
should have.
out,
that was with the DLC, the Aftermath edition.
I don't think so.
Okay, well, you should. Anyways, you should get the Aftermath edition if you do get it, because it comes with a really good expansion. Because you didn't play it, my question is probably not going to be as interesting. Mortal Kombat 11 had a really excellent story mode. It was well voice acted. It was all CGI cutscenes that brought you into each battle that then played out. And I wouldn't even say CGI. Maybe it was in-engine cutscenes, but it was beautiful. You'd watch the story and then you'd do a fight. How is the Power Rangers story mode?
It's fun. I mean,
how does it play out? Like, what does it look like between each fight?
Oh, you just fight in different settings, and you have to fight. It's shattered grid, so you're fighting different Power Rangers. You're the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and you're fighting different Power Rangers from all over like the universe. So you're fighting like there's different versions of like say the Black Ranger. There's like a SWAT version of him, and you can play as they have the Pink Ranger Slayer. They have the Neo or the Zeo Rangers on there. You can play against the Turbo Rangers. It's just like the Draken is this guy's name, and he's trying to take over the morphing grid from all these different dimensions. So you're fighting all these different Power Rangers from all over the Power Rangers timeline. Like I stopped watching it, I think at like Power Rangers in Space, but so I don't really know much beyond that. But yeah, there's all these different like versions of everybody in there, and it's fun. I mean, I'm learning quite a bit about the Power Ranger mythology, but I haven't gotten far enough to really say like, oh, that was a pretty solid story or not.
For all of you like me who literally know nothing about the Power Rangers, I apologize for all of these words being used. I have no clue what they mean either. What I mean is, how does the story play out? Is it a comic book scene? Is it CGI? Like, what is the gameplay progression? Like, you do a fight, then what happens between each fight?
They're stills, and they have
still
like
images with voice acting.
Yeah, still images with voice acting, and they have little like little dialogue pops up as the voice acting's going on, so you can kind of read it if you want to.
Okay, that's kind of what I was getting at, because it did not seem like it was a big budget game. I've heard a lot of good things about it.
It originally released on mobile, if I remember correctly.
I know it came out on Switch. I don't. You could be right about the mobile stuff, but I really don't know. It seems cool. I mean, the fact that it's on Game Pass means, like everything else, if you got Game Pass, give it a try. If you hate it, who cares? Put it down. What else have you been playing? Anything else neat, or just kind of those two things?
Assassin's Creed, jump back in, doing the order missions. As I was telling you and Dr. Donna off air here, is that it's such a long game. Like, there are so many more. Like, you don't just go to...
Don't spoil anything.
You don't just go to Norway and England and
other places.
The other places.
You go to DLC
There's
stuff.
more. Well, it's not like, this isn't DLC. Like, this is part of the game that is like, oh, hey, you have to go and uncover this entirely new area. And I wasn't prepared for that, because in Odyssey, when you're hunting down the order, they're all already in places that you've been. You don't have to go off the map to get there. But in this one, you have to get in a boat, and it's like a 3-day journey, but it goes by in like a minute. And then you have to go uncover. It takes you to a completely different play style. Like, I won't spoil it for you, but it's a completely different play style. It's like a completely different game. And I just, like, I'm going to keep playing it, but I don't know if I have that much more time to put into Assassin's Creed.
I don't know why you keep playing it, to be honest with me, man. Like, to be honest with you, I don't understand the value of, like, I play it when I have nothing better to do, and, I still haven't beat the game. I don't think I'll ever beat that version. I've mentioned this multiple times. Valhalla is my least favorite of the modern 3. I still think it's a very good game.
It's a good game, but it's so long.
It's long, and I feel like you're just doing the same thing over and over and over again. Like, there's not that much variation. It's like, oh, okay, hey, I go do the next quest, and you meet a cool person, and you listen to a story, and then you go do the next thing. And that's all games. But Assassin's Creed, because they give you so much content, you start feeling like you're just seeing the same thing over and over and over again. Yeah. I'll probably dip back into it. I don't know if I'll ever dip back into Immortals. I've looked at that a lot this week and been like, will I ever play this again?
Yeah, I got that on PS5, and I keep, like, thinking about playing it, but I don't think I'm ever going to get around to it.
Yeah, speaking of PS5, I wanted to pick up the Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut. I would have been able to talk about it, but I share games with my brother-in-law, and the license is his, so I would have had to pay $70, which is a lot for a year-old game to be able to experience the DLC, which, if you own it, is $30. If you own it and want to go from PS4 to PS5, it's $30, so it's not cheap.
What Brank means is he spent all of his game money on Lunchables and
Crustables.
And
Crustables.
And now he can't afford to buy the new Ghost of Tsushima. So
I just, any game where they're like, hey, this is a year old, we want you to spend $70 on it. Speaking of which, I mean, I'll just ruin this news right now. I wouldn't be surprised if the new Skyrim re-release they're going to do this year for the 10th anniversary on PS5 and Xbox Series X. Hopefully that's like a $10 to $20 upgrade, but they are going to charge you an upgrade fee. And my guess is the full price will be $70 for whatever
absolutely.
it is.
They'll put out physical versions of it, and people will pay for it too. Like, there's no question about it. Somebody will pay money for that.
It's just wild, because if you read about it, the only thing they're adding is fishing. Like, they're not, I mean, it's so far, unless there's like tons of new stuff that they just haven't revealed yet, they're adding next to nothing to that game.
Yeah.
And
it does have all the expansions on it, I guess, which gives it
every version did. I got Skyrim for $10 on Xbox One, and that had all of the expansions on it. Like, you get on Switch for $20 or $30 right now. That has all the expansions on it. Like, you're always going to have those. If they make a new expansion, I would be a lot more impressed.
Yeah, there's not really a lot more they can add on to that game, except like giving you access to some of the bigger mods that have been put in place over the years. But
yeah, they're not gonna let you do those. Those are gonna be PC only. They're just there's too much I don't know, too much like lack of control that they don't want to do on the consoles, because they don't know what people are modding in, and they don't want to have to go through it. So, but anyways, that's a weird, off topic Ubisoft games that keep getting released thing. I have been playing a game nonstop before I talk about the final new fun thing I tried out for 10 minutes. But I've been playing a game that is quite old, an indie game called Moonlighter. It is on Game Pass, which I tried it out a while ago, and I ended up picking it up on Switch because it ended up being like $7 for the complete edition.
Right.
And boy, that game is a blast. It is a very repetitive loop-based game where your whole thing is to upgrade armor, buy new weapons, and upgrade your shop. You play as a shopkeep. You sell all of your stuff individually. You set the prices. Essentially, it becomes like hey, here's the actual price you need to set stuff at, but you're trying to figure that out so you can get the most value per run. You can add a tip system so you get a little bit more money that way. It's a very iterative roguelite, but I will say it's, if you're like craving just like a fun loop, it's a blast. The combat is not super great, but just that little bit of like, oh, hey, this item sells for more than this item, so I'm just going to dump this item, and when I get back to the shop, I'll sell that one and make a lot of money. Is
it satisfying, though, like when you progress?
I love it. I think it's really neat because pretty much every time you upgrade your weapons, which is very rare because it's very expensive, you buy a new weapon and then you can enchant them like 2 or 3 times. Every time you do it, it's super expensive. And like a good example would be when I went to the second dungeon. There's 5 dungeons. I finished the first one. When I went to the second dungeon, I was with my old gear. I fought the first boss. He almost killed me. The first time I upgrade the weapon, it's like, oh, okay, I fight the first boss, he gets maybe 1 hit off on me. Then I enchant the weapon and make it even better. I fight the first boss, now he can't even hit me before I kill him. So then I'm on to the second boss. Now he's a little bit harder. But it's kind of like that style of thing. They do some gating of progression. Like, I can't get the materials I need to get the 3rd sword until I get to the 3rd dungeon. So they're never going to let you I'm going to beef my way through the game, which is kind of a bummer in some ways because it's like, if you're not good and you don't actually really try to progress, you're going to struggle. It's not the easiest game. But yeah, I'm really digging that. That's what I kind of spent the most of my time doing, watching Sopranos or watching something on TV and just playing Moonlighter, because you're doing the same run over and over and over again. I will say, if you don't play portably, play it on Game Pass. It runs kind of poor on Switch.
So I tried it on Game Pass, and for some reason the buttons on my controller wouldn't work. Like, I kept pressing things. Like, he moved from side to side, but he wouldn't attack. Like, the attack button was not working for me. So I don't know.
You should try it again and just make sure you're pressing the right button, because I've had no issues on either of the platforms.
Okay.
The controls are a little wonky. Like, you use the triggers to do roll. Left trigger's roll and right trigger is your item, which is normally a potion. Okay. And then your L and R are switching your weapons. And you really don't want to switch your weapons at all. Like, I just use the same sword always. I got a bow and arrow as well, but I just never use it. And they have 5 or 6 types of weapons you can use. Did you have anything else you played before I just run through this final thing?
No, okay. That was it for me. So go for it.
I've talked at great length about how kind of disappointed I am with Nintendo's fall lineup, how much they are essentially just iterating games, or iterative games, based on 3DS titles. And one of the titles I pick on the most is WarioWare Get It Together, which is like the co-op WarioWare game they're releasing in September. They released a demo for it this last week, and boy, is it fun. I have gone from I might get it, it's $50. It's a lot for just a bunch of small, micro games, as they call them, tiny mini games, to, as long as it has some type of progression, like any type of mode where you progress through a story, I'm buying it day one. So I'm going to wait for the first reviews, but as long as they have something to do, I'm buying it because it is a blast. I can't recommend it enough. There's a free demo on the eShop. You guys need to try it out. It is so much fun. Told you should try it out. They got the co-op even in the demo. You can play with your family. It is great.
Wait a second. Should I try it out?
No, don't do that. That's the exact opposite of what I said.
I just want to make sure we're on the same page here.
Yes, my man, you should try it out. Hey, we're going to do something we haven't done in forever, and we're going to take a quick breaky poo before we come back with some retro rallies and some newsy boys. Give us a minute.
Yeah.
Super BS. Super BS.
Well, we are back. That's the first time in a long time that you didn't have to listen to ads at the beginning, and now they're in the middle of the episode. Hooray!
Yeah.
old janky boy, Dr. Drew Hurst, whatever, Dread Durst. You're going to take us to the zone, right? The rally zone?
Oh, buddy. Getting ready to dive into that retro rally. Picked up 4 new things this week.
Oh, nice. Share 'em.
Yeah. All right. So first one is just a cart. I got myself this U.S. Olympic gold. So this is one of the first Olympic games to hit the old Sega Genesis.
Okay.
And this is the Barcelona, 1992 Barcelona.
Do you mind me asking what you paid for a title like that? Because that has to be like the bottom of the barrel.
$4.
Like track and field. Okay, good. So you're not paying a ton.
$4.
Okay.
All right, next one is one I'm kind of ashamed of, and I chatted with you about this. I got Three Ninjas Kickback. So this is kind of like a side scroll and beat 'em up, lots of fighting. If you remember the old Three Ninjas movie series from back when we were kids, this is a game based on the second one. For some reason, this game is incredibly hard to come by.
Okay.
It's on eBay like twice a year. This one was about $150.
Whoa. Yeah, it seems like it's a Shinobi or Ninja Gaiden like almost.
Yeah. And if you go look at the Nintendo version, though, if you want a new in-box Nintendo version, you're paying over $1,000 for it. It's crazy.
Wow. So it came out on Super Nintendo. Yeah, I'm looking at that right now.
I don't know what about this game made it so rare. Like
probably limited manufacturing. They probably knew that it wouldn't sell well, so they did a really, really low print of it.
Really short run. So on this one, if you look, it's got the cartridge is in pretty good shape. It didn't come with the manual, so I was trying to like message the guy that's selling it, saying like, hey, because this is only worth $80. Like you can, if you could download an app called GameBite or GameEye, it's one of the two. It gives you
okay.
It gives you the value of retro games, and you can kind of add to your collection. But according to that app, this is only worth $80. So I overpaid by $70.
That is actually a really cool app. For those listening, GameEye. It's a iOS or Android app. It's pretty cool.
It's how I keep track of what I got. Next one, this one is a Dinosaur's Tale based on the that old movie that came out when we were kids. This one's another side-scrolling. You're playing as dinosaurs. It's more the animation's more like cartoony. This one it has the manual and the cartridge is in there.
What does a game like that run?
About $35.
Dinosaur's Tale. Is it based off a movie? Like the name
sounds familiar. It's based on the movie We're Back. Do you remember that dinosaur movie where the dinosaurs were in the big city?
Oh, I totally do. Yeah, I never actually watched it, but I remember as a kid, it was like that non-Disney competing company, We're Back. It's so funny. The Super Nintendo version is called just We're Back, a dinosaur story. But the Genesis one is a Dinosaur's Tale based on the animated movie We're Back.
They did that a lot back in the old, like only one company would get rights to the game or rights to the film. Yeah, so they have like semi knockoffs.
It's just strange. Remind me of if you guys remember the Noid, the Domino's Pizza delivery weirdo.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I used to love those games. Those games were a blast on NES. But yeah, they had like a Yo-Noid or whatever.
Yeah, this guy, they stopped doing that character because this guy, he thought they were making fun of him and he kidnapped a Domino's employee.
Really?
Yeah.
I wonder if that Yo-Noid game is rare. I have a copy. Ooh. No, sorry. I thought that was it. It's not that rare. Sadly, I got the old Yo-Noid. Yeah. Anyways, go ahead. You got one more title.
Last one I got. It's called "Let's Take the A Train," or in Japanese, "A Resha de Iku MD." But it's basically a train building simulator. This is a Japanese copy. It's a Japanese import. If you look at it, what I didn't know is that the Japanese Sega carts are shaped different. See, they have.
You can't even use it with your Mega Drive unless you bought one of those fancy ones from Analog.
Yeah, well, so this will go in the Retron, so you can use it in the Retron. Remember, I was telling you the Retron plays like old Sega games and Nintendo, like the
Are
cart
you talking about
reader.
the Hyperkin, or is that the same thing?
Yeah,
okay.
that's the one. Yeah,
you should actually look. They have a better emulating system from Analog. It's called the Sega MT, or Mega SG. and it's supposed to be like a slightly better emulation than the Retron does.
Yeah, I'll check it.
Retron does let you dump carts, I believe, so you can actually dump the files onto the Retron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this one has the cart and the manual. This one ran about $8.
Okay.
So that's my retro haul for the week.
Nice, man. I mean, you're just building that collection, dude. One of these days we're going to look behind you and there's going to be a wall of trash.
A wall of trash, and I'm going to have them all and I'll be like, all right, what now?
Oh,
what do I do with all this?
I know. That's why I've never really gotten to collecting again since Pokemon cards, because I don't have those anymore. And, I spend a lot of time collecting them. So it's just... I don't have anything against collection, and I do like getting some things that I like, but I have no drive ever to be like, I want every single one of whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the problem is, once you start on that path, it's really hard to stop till you get every single one of those things. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So
absolutely,
there's probably going to be a time where you're going to be confronted with like, do I spend the $1,000? This is the last one that I need, because you're going to find that Mega Drive stuff. There's going to be multiple things like that where it's like, oh, well, I'm down to these 3 games, but they're all $3,000 to $4,000. Should I do? It's like,
yeah,
and it's wild because you're never going to play them. So,
yeah.
Anyways,
I encountered that recently with Jurassic Park action figures.
Wait, what?
Yeah, because they released this line of Jurassic Park toys called the Amber Collection. And it's got like all these legacy figures from like the old movies, and there's like 5 out right now.
Yeah.
But they go out in limited runs, so these people like
dude, I used to have these toys. I had this what's his name? Jeff Goldblum. I had this action figure.
Yeah, but these are like fancy reproductions of them, and so they charge. You can get it for like $20 at Target or Walmart, or not. But these people, they're limited runs. So like the Dennis Nedry one it came out for about $20, and people are now scalping them online for like $70 to $80.
Who is Dennis Nedry in Jurassic Park?
He's the guy that tried with the Barbasol can that got eaten by the spitter.
Oh, I never had him.
Yeah.
So wait, he's going for a lot more. I don't even see him online right now, man.
Yeah.
That is so random that people are like, oh, I gotta buy this. I love that actor from Seinfeld.
The collector's market, especially for like action figures right now, is pretty insane.
I should go and find mine because legit, these are very similar to what my old toys were. And mine, I kept most of my stuff in great condition. And I had like the Jeep. Do you remember they had a Jeep that they could all drive in? Mm-hmm. I had that Jeep, and I had not the Spitter, but I had like a Raptors and stuff. Oh man, those were fun toys. I had those, and I had I don't know if you remember this really terrible film, Small Soldiers.
Oh yeah.
I had some of the Small Soldier action figures as well.
My kids like to watch that movie. It has Kirsten Dunst is in it.
Oh wow, yeah, I forgot that. I have like, whoa, dude, I don't have them in box. But I do have like the Commander that looks like he's going for like almost $100, which is wild, dude. 175 in box. It's just so crazy that these kind of, to be fair, like trash toys that we got for $15 at Target or whatever in the 90s are worth so much to people.
Power Ranger flip heads, all right? The White Ranger flip head we could get for about $8 as a kid, and now it's going for like $200 to $300.
I'm like looking up this stuff while we're talking. I don't even know, man. The world's crazy. The world is crazy.
Yeah.
Anyways, back to Sane World news. We're going to talk about some of the stuff going on or that's happened. As you know, we missed last week. We gave you an old classic episode. And we mentioned Gamescom is going to be here by the time you listen. We're probably going to talk a lot about that next week. I'm hoping the Xbox Bethesda stuff has at least a new announcement. I'm not expecting it, but I hope it does. I'm also hoping that Halo gets a release date because otherwise I don't know when they're going to tell us.
Please, because I already said it's not shipping, right? With the
let's just get into that right now. So they said Halo Infinite will not ship with campaign co-op, and it will not ship with Forge mode. Never really played Forge mode myself, but that's more for those who liked it. But it is still coming holiday 2021. They did say that campaign co-op would be out by season 2 of the game, or they'd try to make it out by season 2, which is generally 3 months after launch, and that forged mode should be there by season 3, which should be about 6 months. Might be a little bit longer. We don't know. Anyways, that's huge news because a lot of people love playing these Halo games co-op. I actually played Halo 5 the entire way through co-op, and it was the best way to experience that game.
Oh, I played it by myself, so that might be why it frustrated me so much. But
I loved that game, man. I had so much fun. I played with my brother-in-law, and that is a very fun game that I played through co-op. That's also how I played most of Halo 3. I played Halo 3 so many times, but I played through a lot of it co-op.
Halo 3 I played through co-op. Halo 4, I played half of it through co-op, and Halo 5 I soloed just because, like, my friends weren't like all online all the time anymore. But Halo 3 I definitely think is the best co-op experience in the game.
Yeah.
Everything after that, all the enemies got ridiculously more difficult to fight.
Yeah, I never finished 4. We were actually talking about that in a private thread with Dr. Donna. He was playing Halo 4. But yeah, I never finished it. I played through the first 2 levels. That's as far as I've gotten every time, which is kind of a bummer because the first 2 maps of Halo 4 are pretty boring. One's a space station, and the other one's also in space. So I didn't even get to like any green stuff. So Halo 4 is my least favorite of the Halo games because I just didn't give it a chance, and it was when 343 took over, and I was kind of burnt out on Halo at the time. It was after Reach and all these others, which I also was burnt out by that point. But anyways, yeah, so it's a bummer for a lot of Halo fans that this is going to be how Halo launches. For me personally, the fact is they said it's coming this year. I would rather have single player than wait another 3 months. Like
absolutely. Yeah,
they need
I
Halo
agree.
to drop this year. It's the 10th anniversary, 20th anniversary. And Forza Horizon 5 is going to be dope, but that's just not enough.
It's not Halo. And people have been patiently waiting for this game, and I feel like Halo is going to sell units around the holidays a lot more than Forza will.
Well, totally. And Halo will probably sell, which is one of those things where Forza, I feel like a lot of the people excited for are probably just going to play it on Game Pass. It's probably that same kind of in the know group. But yeah, I really think Halo Infinite could be incredible this year. The only thing that's kind of bumming me out is with the timeline, it seems like Halo is going to launch in December, whereas Halo traditionally was like a November title.
I remember Halo 2 was October 12th.
Well, yeah, back in the day. But for some odd reason in my mind, Halo in November, I think it's because Halo 3 was a November launch. Let me see. It could also been a late October. Launched in September. Yeah, okay, wow, that's crazy. So yeah, they kind of have always been, though, on September. They did a lot of September releases, it seems like. But for some odd reason, I just feel like December's late, and I don't see it coming out before December because of how many other issues they've had. And with Horizon coming out in November, I just don't see them double, dipping, if you will, double dropping.
I don't know. I mean, do you think December's too late for people who are going to buy a copy? Do you think December's too late as far as like making it a holiday gift goes?
I don't know. I mean, December's always been that weird time where I feel like you see companies dump a game, that was the Immortals Phoenix Rising of last year. That's a Far Cry window. That's a lot of games where it's like, I don't feel like the companies, and that's on my end if you hear that crazy large car backing up. That's sorry, that's just so loud on my end. That is like the dumping grounds for what is normally going to be like a 60s to 70s Metacritic title. Maybe if they're really lucky, 80s. There's been a few things that have been different, but December's not normally the best time to drop a game. Yeah. So anyways, it sounds like Gamescom's going to talk about Elden Ring. We're going to hope for Halo. They already did QuakeCon this last week where they dropped the original Quake. It sounds like remastered on Game Pass and every other console. So that's neat. So you can play it on Switch if you want, or for free on Game Pass or any of the other things. So I don't know what Xbox Bethesda's gonna do because they did, announce the Skyrim remaster or whatever, the 10th anniversary. And they did announce all this other stuff. So it's like, I really don't have a lot of faith that the Xbox Showcase is going to be much more than a couple more indies.
Do you think there's a chance we might actually get to see like a brief glimpse of some Starfield gameplay? Like maybe they're saving that for Gamescom?
Isn't Starfield November of 2022?
Yeah, but all we saw was that like cinematic. So do you think maybe they'll show off a little bit of gameplay just to raise the hype level a little bit?
No.
You don't think so?
I don't think they're going to mention Starfield at all because that's probably going to be their E3 push. And I think they would be kind of crazy to like overshadow Halo and Forza. I mean, there's a chance we get either a Fable or Perfect Dark clip. I doubt that too. I really think, and I could be wrong. Maybe you're going to be right. Starfield's going to be the big showcase. They're going to be like, hey, watch this. We're going to show you something for the first time in forever. But I don't know, man. I'm really thinking it's going to be some indies that are on Game Pass, a Halo launch date, and I'm hoping there's a surprise in there, but I'm not getting my hopes up because they had a killer E3, so it's like, and then they had QuakeCon last week. What do you do when you have that many shows you're trying to present for? They're probably also going to have something announced at Opening Night Live, and then probably something announced at what's the December Jeff Keighley show? The Game Awards. Game Awards.
Oh yeah.
He'll probably show something off the Game Awards too. So you got a lot to separate, especially when a lot of these games aren't even coming till late next year. So it's like, and then you got E3, you've got stuff. And what if they do XO1 or whatever, the Xbox showcase they've done before?
That's right. Yeah, I know Ninja Theory's been pretty active online, so I've been wondering if we're going to see some
Hellblade. That could be something. That is something they didn't show at E3 that feels like it should be coming out next year. But I could be wrong. They did mention the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge beat 'em up's going to be announced at Gamescom, or they're going to talk about it. There's they mentioned that the Saints Row reboot is coming out at Gamescom, or not coming out, but they're going to show something or talk about it. It sounds like Elden Rings has won a bunch of Gamescom awards, or award nominees, so I would assume they're going to show it. Otherwise, I don't know why it's doing that. And then Opening Night Live follows the Xbox Bethesda showcase. Do you have any predictions for that? Anything that you think that's going to happen? Because Opening Night Live is the Jeff Keighley showcase. He normally gets stuff from Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo. And he does, I thought he did a killer job at the summer games kickoff.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like they'll show off the new Forza Motorsport game and not just Horizon. Maybe I don't think we're going to see anything from Gears. I honestly don't know what to think. I know we'll probably, along with hopefully a Halo release date, they'll probably show some more footage from that in whatever way that entails, but I honestly don't know what to think.
Yeah, it is weird. I feel like we could potentially, if nothing gets delayed again, be in for the craziest 2022 ever. Yeah. We're talking Gears, potentially either Fable, Perfect Dark, Hellblade. We're talking Starfield, the next Breath of the Wild, probably the next God of War, the Horizon sequel. There are so many titles right now that are pushed back. I assume Dying Light 2 is not going to make its December release date this year. I assume that the Vampire Masquerades, if that makes it at all, will be coming next year or even later. There's the Gotham Knights game. Next year is going to be killer. So this year is this weird one where when we're doing our top 5 or top 10, it's really going to be tricky to figure out, what do we talk about this year? Because besides Village and Death's Door and Ratchet and Clank, and those aren't even incredible titles.
No, they're not. I still want to go back and finish playing Village. But I feel like this is going to be one of those years, kind of like last year, where a lot of our favorite games of the year kind of intersected with each other.
Yeah, and last year even had a kind of a bigger year than this year. Like last year had Cyberpunk, last year had Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us Part 2. The real thing for last year is just the Switch did not have anything, and Xbox was also kind of, there wasn't really a lot there besides, if you say Like a Dragon, because that was like the Series X and not PS5 release, But yeah, it's been a strange year so far this year. I will say I think last year was better, and a lot of that's because those games were being finished up. One last piece of small news. I probably should have put it when you were talking about Assassin's Creed Valhalla. They did announce that Assassin's Creed Odyssey is going to run at 60 FPS on next-gen consoles in a free update tomorrow. So that's kind of neat. It's both for PS5 and Series X. It's not just a Series X thing like they've been doing with the, what do they call that? The FPS boost. It's not just an FPS boost thing. So, I think that's neat. I don't know if it's going to make me go back and play it. I never did finish the DLCs, but those, like we talked about at great length on this episode, Assassin's Creed is a time sink game.
Absolutely. Well, and what's funny is Odyssey was massive, but it's tiny in comparison to Valhalla. I was able to play through Odyssey in about 4 months, whereas Valhalla literally took me from October to May.
Yeah. Yeah, it is wild.
And I still didn't 100% it.
Yeah. Dr. Donna did it much faster, but it really depends on how much free time you have at the time and like what you're mainlining and stuff. But yeah, it's a game where, I played 20 hours since I got it in November, or I think I got it early December. I don't know. I just think it's so long. I am so unmotivated to go through it. There's not enough like immediate loops that I like. Like upgrading the town is awesome, but you only get supplies through certain things. So you can only upgrade the town when you're doing raids and several other things. So it's like, okay, I'm not really upgrading my town. I'm not really able to upgrade my weapons. And because of that, like you could do that stuff, occasionally, but because of that, like the game feels really slow. And like, I'll do like a whole story, piece, like a whole campaign, which is honestly between 2 and 4 hours. And I'll like get to do one upgrade after I'm done. And that it's a lot of game for like what feels like a snail's pace.
Yeah. And this one came out the gates like mega glitchy. And so I don't know, like I'm hopeful that the next entry in the franchise will be smaller and more complete than what this is, but it doesn't sound like that's what's going to happen with this new like them adding things on as you play experience.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if I don't know what to think about Valhalla. Like I've talked about this podcast. I do enjoy it. I think it's a fun game. I don't hate it, and I don't mean to like belittle it, but I just think Ubisoft is getting too far into Ubisoft. Like the games are just so big that while we used to joke about them as like a throw everything at them title, it's starting to drain my interest in playing their stuff. Like I'm pretty excited still for Far Cry 6, but knowing that it may be a Far Cry 5 title where it's like, hey, here's a million things, but you don't really need to do any of them, but you could do some of them if you want, and then you could go do the main thing. I just hope we're not in for another one of those. Like, they've gotten so far up the whole, like, here's 5 billion things. Choose 70 of them.
Yeah, and the side, it doesn't help, too, that the side quests are very, like, time committed.
Yeah.
You can't just go and like, oh, hey, go fetch this guy's pig, and then you go and do it, and that takes like 2 minutes. Like some of these side quests really, really take time to do.
That was the best thing about Valhalla, I think, is the mysteries are fairly short. So every main quest may take forever, but if you actually want to engage in a lot of their side quests, they're normally a couple minutes, 5 minutes, they're normally not too bad. But anyways, we talked so much about Assassin's Creed. This podcast should just be called Assassin's Creed and Final Fantasy, the Fanboy Podcast, because I feel like that's what we talk about every time. Yes, my bro, we are going to come back with a vengeance, hopefully next week, and we will be chatting about all that Gamescom, that sweet, sweet Gamescom news. And at that point, I'll play some Psychonauts 2. I hope you do too, so we can talk a little bit about that. I am hoping to get my hands on Ghost of Tsushima before the end of the year, but there's no way on earth I'm giving Sony $70, and my brother-in-law did not want to spend the $30 for the upgrade. So we'll see, man. My PlayStation might be very unused this year because I'm not very excited for Death Stranding Director's Cut, and not at all surprising. And Ghost of Tsushima is like I can't believe they're charging $70 for this upgrade. And they got rid of the original Ghost of Tsushima, so it's not like you could do what I was hoping to do, which is like buy it for $20 digitally and then upgrade. It'd be like $50. Yeah, they got rid of that. So I'll have to wait for like some sale on that, and then we'll have some Nintendo stuff here next month. WarioWare and whatnot. But we'll do some topics, talk about some of our favorite games, talk about some of our games with best resale value, things like that. Hopefully, we'll get some extra time on the soon. Anything else you want to add before we go?
No, that's good, man. I think we covered it.